What's up everyone, we're here at Real. My name is Pete Hardie and today we're going to be looking at the new GoPro HERO3. I have with me our cinematographer, Nate Appel.
What's up everyone?
Who's here to try and give you some expert advice and explain things that I don't fully understand. So Nate, tell me a little bit, what's the flagship feature of this new camera that we've got here?
Flagship feature by far is the new 4K resolution level. So that's essentially an image that's 4 times the size of a normal HD image, which essentially means just more detail in your images and in your video.
Wow, okay, so the picture size is 4 times bigger than the old one.
Yep.
4 times.
Yep.
And so if you squash it into the normal size, it's going to be 4 times the detail.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
Wow, okay, that's pretty cool. So that's the 4K. Do you suffer any kind of frame rate loss when you go out that big?
Yeah. At 4K, the HERO3 will only shoot at 15 frames per second, which is going to give your footage a little bit of a stutter. Not a huge deal to use in short clips and short bursts, but for actually shooting, usable footage, I'd say the resolution you're going to want to use is 2.7K, which is the next level down, which is also a really big deal. It'll shoot 2.7K at 30 frames per second, 25 frames per second, or 24 frames per second. So that's a much more usable resolution for most people.
And can you do slow-mo with that 2.7? Would that work?
No, the frame rate's a little bit too slow without using something like Twixtor to fill in the gaps. Your usable slow motion resolution is going to be 1080p 60, which is a huge deal. So that's 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is kind of the minimum required for doing true slow motion. That's a big deal for this little camera. There's cameras out there 4 times the price of this camera that will not do 1080p 60. So quite a feature to have in a real tiny camera.
Okay, so there's the 4K, the 2.7K, and the 1080p at 60. Is there any other combos that are worth talking about, or is that pretty much
next down, the camera shoots at 120 frames per second at 720p. So still a usable HD image, but even slower slow motion. So that's the slow motion where you see droplets coming off the surfboard, just lots of fine detail at a resolution where you can still see what's going on.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow, so tell us a little bit about the kind of shape and size of this camera, in and out of the case. It does visually look different from the HERO2. Yeah, so they've slimmed the camera down quite a bit, and they've also added a lot more into this camera as far as the Wi-Fi capabilities. So on the HERO2, you used to have to buy an add-on that would go on the back, add another ½ inch to the camera. Whereas with the new HERO3, Wi-Fi is built in, you're not adding anything to the camera, and you have that Wi-Fi capability. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And what are the professional uses for Wi-Fi in a camera like this? What's the point?
It's actually pretty cool. So say you're at the slopes and you want to film yourself hitting a certain feature over and over again. You got the camera on a tripod. Before, every time you cruise by the camera, you'd either have to physically push the button or just let the camera run, and then you'd have hours upon hours of useless footage. With the Wi-Fi remote, you can have the remote on your wrist, on your person somewhere, and every time you cruise by the camera to take a pass at something, you hit the button, camera records. Once you land your trick, hit the button again, camera stops, and you don't have to deal with all that unusable footage.
So you can actually switch it off and save battery life in between hits as well?
Absolutely.
Wow. Yep. Okay, so this is actually empowering people to take the camera off that kind of self-mount on the bottom of your board or on your head and actually get a full-on, full-body image from, say, a tripod or a fixed position.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
The other change that they made, a notable change, is with the lens of the housing. So as you can see, this is a flat lens compared to the curved lens on the old GoPro. That does several things for you. That reduces the distortion in the image, so it gives you a cleaner image, but it still gives you the same wide angle range of sight that the old camera had.
So you still want to be right up close to the...
Yeah, when you're shooting in super wide mode, you still want to be pretty close to your subject, but the new HERO3 is just going to give you a more detailed image out of the camera.
Okay, pretty cool. And I see from an actual weight and size perspective, obviously through the camera it's hard to tell. I think if we take this apart, let's see, they've changed the...
Yeah, there's also a new lock on the top. So I've never had this problem, but theoretically on the old camera, if something were to catch this little hook right here, the camera could open up and potentially be destroyed. Whereas with the new clasp, you actually have a locking mechanism where you have to push this button and then pull up on the hook to open it up. So the chances of this opening accidentally on you are, you know, 0 pretty much without someone actually pushing that button.
Okay, so from an actual physical size perspective, if we take these two cameras out of the case, just so we can compare the camera versus camera. Yeah,
you've got a much smaller package in the HERO3 there.
Okay, so it's just the thickness is the real thing. And then obviously, yeah, this is a much heavier camera. Okay, I get it.
And now with the smaller casing, they also changed the memory card requirements. So where the HERO2 took HD SD cards, the new HERO3 actually takes micro SD cards, which are even smaller to accommodate that smaller case. Just a minor change in the new camera. You can still buy the micro SDs in a 64 gig size, so you can still have just as much filming capacity on the smaller card.
Cool. Okay, and at this stage, are we expecting the battery life to be drastically different or pretty similar across the board?
The battery life is actually improved on the HERO3. It's now up to 7 hours in standby mode. So, you know, one of the gripes about the HERO2 is that you get out there and an hour later the camera's dead. HERO3 is going to last you much longer.
That's cool. So I guess that's kind of most of the features explained. If you have a GoPro 2, I'm sure a lot of people have the GoPro 2 or even the GoPro 1. Is it worth upgrading? Is it worth making the switch?
For many people, I'd say yes. If you do a lot of slow motion filming, if you like shooting things and then slowing it down, this camera is going to be, the HERO3 is going to be superior. Also, if you like a slimmer camera, the HERO3 is going to be superior. Also, just general usability with the Wi-Fi backpack is great. You know, that's definitely a feature that.
But you can upgrade your HERO2 with the Wi-Fi backpack to have the same functionality and even shoot in some of the same modes as the HERO3.
Absolutely.
You just are going to have a bigger, bulkier backpack with less battery life.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of an option for both people. There is a less expensive way to get the new camera.
Absolutely.
Cool. I like that. And what kind of models are there? I know they have a few different options for the.
So here we have the Black Edition, which is, you know, they're fully pimped out, all the features, the 4K, the 2.7K, the 1080p 60. You've got the Silver Edition below that, which takes away the 4K, the 2.7K, and the 1080p 60 and leaves you just with the bare essentials for filming. And I think they took away the remote as well. Exactly, yeah. It's still Wi-Fi compatible, but you don't get the remote with the camera. Separately. You have to buy that separately.
Or use your iPhone. They do have an app as well.
Or use your iPhone, yeah. Yeah, lots of options there, for sure.
Cool. And there's one of the White Edition?
Yeah, the White Edition, which is the lower edition. Again, they take away a bit of the features, a bit of the functionality, but you still get a much cleaner image than you would with the HERO2.
So realistically, even for that lower, the White Edition, is it worth switching up from the HERO2? Or if you're going to switch up from here, should you really go to the Black Edition?
If you're going to switch, I'd say go all out. Go for the Black Edition. You know, with all the extra functionality, you're really going to be stoked you did that in the end.
And it's still under $500 for the whole package.
It's still under $500, and in the filming world, for a camera that shoots 1080p at 60 frames per second, under $500 up until now, it is pretty much unheard of. So
this is the real deal. This is a professional camera that no matter what level you're at, you can enjoy and use. And
absolutely, yeah. You'll see this camera being used for the next year on commercials in Hollywood, and then on the slopes everywhere you go.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Nate, and thanks for checking us out, guys. You can find out more at realwatersports.com. Full reviews and product descriptions and more images. Check us out and have fun.